It all started when I was born, really, actually, like as a soul before I was even born. And I think I came here as a soul with things to do in this lifetime. And then my conscious memories around my journey begin at around 7 years old when I was playing the Brady Bunch in the backyard. And my mom opened the door and found me there talking to myself. My friends, we were making up a story and I was in it, like imagining, expressing, being fully myself. And my friends did not grow up to be actors. And they were like, yeah, I'm done with the story thing. I'm going swimming. And when that light flooded in, when the garage door opened, it's clear now that it was like my first spotlight. And she could have said, oh my God, what are you doing? Stop doing that. That's what a lot of the world does and did to me later in like high school and 20s. And it wasn't even until my 30s that I realized, oh my God, I'm being who I think other people want or need me to be. And they don't even want or need that anymore. And instead of doing that, my mom took me to an acting class. And theater has a light side and a shadow. The shadow is the part that you see in movies like The Understudy, where it's cutthroat and there's power plays and ego and competition. And I am now grateful that there's both sides to the theater, so that when I look back on my life in particular, was consciously surrounding myself with the people that were embodying more of the light side. Fellow weirdos, sensitive souls, um, Misfit Toys was like one of my very first clients. We used to talk about being from the land of misfit toys. And it was really my first spiritual zone that had the place where I first felt what it meant beyond that childhood to be truly deeply alive and present. It was also a spiritual zone because it had both the light side and the dark side the whole time. I talk a lot about the light side because I've been consciously choosing that and going toward it. And 20 years later, I was working in the middle of the most masked up, least visible, one of the most masked up, least visible places in the world, the Silicon Valley, doing theater at night. Um, and from 27 toward like 30, I started to realize I'm living this split life. It's like I've got this mask on during the day and I'm getting older and I'm not going to be able to do this 55 hours a week plus 45 hours of theater or more every single week. And around that point, somebody asked me to fax something after a show ended. And a voice inside of me screamed, don't you know I'm meant for greater things? I knew that I was meant for greater things. And I also realized in that moment that that person who asked me to fax something was not the one keeping me small. I was keeping myself small. And then shortly after that, a moment came in my favorite acting class that is a pivotal moment that has its roots in everything I do. I was doing an exercise in an acting class, and on this day, I was up on stage all by myself, and other classmates were like chiming things in from the audience. And I kept putting on the I'm fine mask. I've got it all pulled together. I'm so capable. I'm not a weirdo. I'm not overly emotional. And he stopped the exercise and said, whatever you're doing with that, stop doing it. And I said, I'm not that comfortable having everyone's eyes on me. And then he took off his glasses, which usually made me go, oh, fuck, what's coming next? And he just calmly said, then you've picked a strange set of careers for yourself. Part of you wants this. Part of you knows you're meant to be seen. And it was like he was speaking through the years to and through like all of my own masks and veils and smoke screens and static to the part of me that was dancing in the garage light at 7 years old, to the part of me that knew I was here to do something as a soul before I even came here. And I'd love to say like something cracked open if you read this story when I put it in writing and I have less space for words. That is true. And it's also because I chose to trust him. And it felt more like a melting of decades of protection than like a now it's all done. And really, it feels like the melting continues. There are still times where I realize, oh, I think I just caught like a thin veil. Being seen is something that happens in every corner of our lives. We're going to focus on speaking. It's a very ripe ground. And I will say that I am far more comfortable at times being on a stage fully unmasked than being in an intimate moment in my life when it gets hot and intense. That's when I'm currently feeling like the good girl comes up and wants to like make it all smooth again. And then the inner teenager comes up and is like, fuck you, I will do things to get you away from me or to try to protect myself by like launching bombs back. When we work on it with this stage metaphor, it will ripple through every corner of our lives. And if it comes up in your life, it will also ripple back and have an impact on the stage because it's like working a muscle in different sports. You get stronger at being seen. And when I let things start to melt and I jumped back into the exercise, by the time it was over, it was like there were no veils and I could see and feel the truth of all of the people in the room, like what kind of day they were having. And that was my first moment of oneness that lasted beyond the acting, beyond being in a sport together. And why I say it's like the heart and the root of everything that I do is because when we allow ourselves to truly be seen and we share ourselves and receive others, our 1 in 8 billion radiance shines through and also gives others the permission to do that too.